Wait, how did you do that?
Ja, hallo alle miteinander und herzlich willkommen zurück zu The Stanley Parable. Wir haben beim letzten Mal das erste Ending in diesem Spiel freigeschaltet und gesehen. Das war wohl das Freiheit-Ending. Und heute werden wir mal was anderes machen.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, einiges von dem, was wir jetzt hier gesehen haben, haben wir ihn ja schon mal erklären gehört. Von daher...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay, wir gehen jetzt nochmal nach links. Und werden dieses Mal allerdings ein paar Sachen anders machen. Oder vielleicht auch einfach eine Sache ganz zum Schluss anders machen. Wir erinnern uns ja, da waren 2 Knöpfe.
There was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yep. Okay, wir folgen nach wie vor einfach mal deinen Anweisungen.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Ja, den Spruch haben wir das letzte Mal ja ein bisschen übersprungen.
Pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Also den Einspruch haben wir beim letzten Mal ja ein bisschen übersprungen gehabt. Und da wollte ich den jetzt noch ganz kurz durchlaufen lassen.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Genau, also wir werden jetzt Folgendes machen. Ich werde hier noch einmal lang gehen und ganz zum Schluss den anderen Knopf drücken.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Yep, wir haben es ja beim letzten Mal schon alles herausgefunden.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Wir können ja mal schauen, ob wir hier irgendwo Stanleys Nummer sehen. Wir wissen 427. Ja, dahin. Jetzt will ich mal schauen, wenn da wieder irgendwas ist. Sehen wir uns... Nein, da sieht man tatsächlich einfach nur Stanleys Arbeitsplatz. Okay. Hätte jetzt gedacht, was enorm Meta wäre, wenn man jetzt da quasi unsere Perspektive sehen könnte.
It was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible?
Not
Truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Yep.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Okay, letztes Mal haben wir auf Off gedrückt. Diesmal machen wir das Ganze mal an. Macht zwar überhaupt keinen Sinn, aber wir machen einfach mal.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detection system.
Oh nein!
And that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Wie bitte?
Until detonation then, let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story. Ship it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
Ja, bitte?
Good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Das ist aber gemein.
I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stan.
Was
Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Genau, ja, ja.
Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a... That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Goodbye, Employee 427.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds and
Warum?
then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Wow. Okay. Also das war abgedreht. Nuklearsprengköpfe. Warum Nuklearsprengköpfe?
Stanley, he was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Jetzt machst du mir gerade Angst. Jetzt machst du mir gerade wirklich Angst. Jemand ist hinter mir? Oh, bitte nicht. In First Person komme ich mit sowas absolut nicht klar. Oh mein Gott, bitte nicht, bitte nicht.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh Mann. Du machst mich gerade absolut paranoid.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay, wir suchen jetzt mal als nächstes Folgendes. Wenn wir hier lang gehen.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud.
Oh Mann, du machst mir gerade enorm Angst mit diesem Kommentar am Anfang.
Through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad,
Ich stehe jetzt gerade nicht
the correct
ganz,
code by
warum
amazing
da was anderes gesagt hat als beim letzten Mal.
passageway.
Wenn mir irgendjemand sagt, in First Person plötzlich wird irgendetwas hinter mir auftauchen, hinter meiner Schulter, dann werde ich enorm nervös. Warum sieht das diesmal anders aus? Sind wir dieses Mal einfach hier was übersprungen? Normalerweise erzählst du...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Nein, dieses Mal werden wir hier lang gehen.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh mein Gott, du willst mir jetzt enorm Angst machen, ne?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Mir egal, wir gehen einfach weiter, ist mir egal.
Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ja, mir egal. Wo bin ich jetzt hier?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his death,
Oh.
reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted
Ach du meine Güte.
the end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh nein, 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 nein. Hä?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a
Was?
single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Hä? Was genau ist jetzt mit dem Erzähler passiert?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Hä?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Was? Hä? Nature Paintings? Filing Cabinets? Ist das eine Art Museum? Was ist das hier? Korridor. Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the two doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development though. The core layout remains almost identical to the first interaction. Okay, von da kommen wir raus. Hier ist das erste Büro. Hier gehen wir raus. Hier kommen wir hin. Da geht's lang. Und das sind dann die... Hier. The set of two doors was the very first concept piece of Stanley. Ja. Okay. Das ist schon interessant zu erkennen. Ist das jetzt hier so eine Art interaktive Geschichtsstunde, wie sie das Spiel gemacht haben? Also hier haben wir mal die Credits, die ganzen Mitarbeiter, die an dem Spiel mitgemacht haben. Und hier haben wir Button Sound, a selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Ich meine, okay, das ist ganz cool. Das sind jetzt hier einfach nur die Assets, die es in dem Spiel gibt? Oder wie verstehe ich das denn jetzt? Narration Outtakes?
Stanley pushed the number 6.
Okay. Und was genau muss ich jetzt hier machen? Also es ist schon irgendwo cool, dass es das hier gibt. Freedom Ending. Kann man sich hier anschauen, was es alles für Endings gibt? Countdown Desk. Was jetzt natürlich richtig cool wäre, wenn ich noch mehr Endings bekommen würde und nochmal hierher kommen würde, ob dann quasi dieses Museum noch voller wäre. Das wäre natürlich eine richtig, richtig geil. Game is now paused. Office. Was? Greenlight. There are screenshots of the Stanley Parable HD Remix. The point of the Stanley Parable HD Remix is to win. More endings, more endings. More endings, fewer endings, more narrators, fewer narrators, more Stanley, less Stanley. Timer. Was für ein Apartment-Timer? Ja gut, wohin muss ich jetzt hier genau? Ich bin total verwirrt. Absolut verwirrt. Moment, hier sieht's nach Ausgang aus. Gehen wir da mal lang.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Und jetzt?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time...
Hat das jetzt tatsächlich... Moment, du hast mir gerade gesagt, ich soll per Escape da rausgehen. Oh, das ist gemein. Das ist gemein. Das Spiel sagt mir, ich soll was machen und wir sehen uns gleich wieder da, wo ich wieder im Museum fertig bin. Bis gleich.
Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't...
Moment, was?
So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Okay, das... What? Wie bitte?
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Okay, damit hätte ich jetzt nicht gerechnet. Das Spiel erkennt, wenn ich dem Erzähler den Spaß daran nehme. Oh mein Gott, okay.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push
Okay, das sind wir wieder.
Quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone
Es gibt hier kein Beenden.
else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Und jetzt? Hallo? Was ist genau los? Ich höre Schritte. Okay, ich verstehe jetzt nicht ganz. Kann man das da nicht vollständig ausspielen lassen? Oder bin ein bisschen verwirrt, muss ich zugeben. Man sagt doch hier beenden. Aber hier ist kein Beenden. Drücke Escape und beenden. Aus irgendeinem Grund kann ich noch Schritte machen. Das beunruhigt mich so ein bisschen. Okay, ich würde sagen, wir machen an dieser Stelle einfach mal einen Cut für heute. Ich bin verunsichert, verwirrt, aber das gehört auch so ein bisschen dazu. Das hier muss wohl das Museumende sein, würde ich jetzt mal sagen. Also, es sah aus wie ein Museum. Also ich nenne es jetzt einfach mal das Museumende. Ich habe keine Ahnung, ob ich jetzt hier irgendwas falsch gemacht habe oder... Ach, wir belassen es einfach für heute mal so. Das war's für heute mit The Stanley Parable. Wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder. Und ja, was soll ich da machen? Vielleicht sollte ich einfach mal einen Durchlauf machen, wo ich wirklich das komplette Gegenteil von allem mache, was mir der Erzähler sagt. Ja, genau. Versuchen wir das beim nächsten Mal. Aber ja, das sehen wir dann beim nächsten Mal wieder. Bis dahin. Tschüss.